All right, let's do this. Tech Twice Weekly, episode number 3. Welcome to Tech Twice Weekly. My name is Ben White, and this is a new podcast bringing you technology news headlines and discussing the big stories every Sunday and Wednesday. Today, I'm joined by Eric Fee, a great friend of mine that I co-host the Pro Slackers After Hours podcast with. How you doing this evening, man?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Awesome. You're surviving the heat, I take it?
Barely. Where I have my computer stashed is only, 30 degrees above outside. So, whew.
So you're not practicing your overclocking then?
No, in fact, if I leave my machines running during the day with the AC off, they will explode.
Ouch. Yeah, I'm doing the same boat, but no AC unit here. So, well, let's get on with the headlines and then we can get out of the studio. So, starting off this week, VentureBeat on Friday broke the news that, according to their sources familiar with the matter, Google had officially closed a deal buying the video game streaming website Twitch.tv. Rumors originally spread back in around May about Twitch.tv being purchased by Google, but after the initial gossip broke, there has been no further information on the sale. The same might be true with this story. Since VentureBeat broke the news on Friday, it appears no other media outlet has released an independent story covering the news, and neither Google or Twitch.tv have said a word. PC Gamer covered the news of online gaming service Steam launching a new beta music player. The Steam Music Beta is basically just a very bare bones basic MP3 player built into the Steam software. It appears to be really simple, no streaming service or anything like that. However, being built into Steam means that it works nicely with Steam's Big Picture mode, which is Steam's UI specifically designed for televisions and large display devices. If you're interested in checking out the Steam Music Beta, simply log into your Steam account settings and select Opt in for the Steam Beta update. TechCrunch brings us information about Amazon's new Video Shorts section. It appears Amazon is aiming to challenge YouTube and other short form video streaming sites by adding a Video Shorts section to its instant video streaming services. Currently, Amazon's collection of video shorts includes game trailers, music videos, concert clips, and even how-to videos covering topics like beauty and makeup. We're expecting to see this grow over time, though. Digital Trends is reporting on news that unlocking your cell phone may soon finally be legal again in the United States through the use of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998. Cell phone manufacturers and carriers have been preventing users from unlocking cell phones to work on different carriers. There was previously an exception made by the Library of Congress, but this exception expired in 2012, and since then, lawmakers have been working towards developing legislation to permanently legalize cell phone unlocking. Just over a week ago, the Senate passed a bill to legalize cell phone unlocking called the Unlocking Consumer and Wireless Competition Act. Very classy. It has now cleared Congress and requires only the president's approval to make it into law. It's unclear exactly when President Obama will be signing the bill, but the intention is for the new law to be passed by the end of the year. Verizon has confirmed to Droid Life plans to begin throttling 4G LTE speeds for their top 5% of data users starting in October of 2014. In a move Verizon is calling network optimization, they are targeting a very specific segment of their market for this potential slowdown. To be affected, you'll need to meet all of the following criteria: be one of the top 5% of data users on the 4G LTE network. This means using over 4.7 gigabytes of data per month. You also need to be enrolled in an unlimited data plan. You need to be off contract, meaning you're paying month to month and no longer on a pre-signed contract. You also have to be attempting to use data on cell phone towers in an area under high demand. So, given how specific Verizon is being, only true power users should really feel the slowdown this October. But we'll see if it ends up affecting more users. Mashable has a story on an Amazon employee who was recently visited by Seattle police last Tuesday afternoon after he was identified flying a drone around the Space Needle observation deck. The unidentified Amazon employee flew a large hobbyist drone, not an Amazon drone, a hobbyist drone, out from his motel window on Tuesday, recording video as he flew over the city of Seattle and around the Space Needle. This upset many people in the Seattle area and resulted in the Seattle police making a visit to the employee's hotel room. After showing the video footage to officers and there being no evidence of any harm or damage caused by the drone while in flight, he was given a warning to no longer fly his drone around Seattle. Rumors are beginning to fly as Google buys up many domain names referencing Music Key. As GigaOM reports, the Music Key domain names may be related to the YouTube music streaming service rumored to be launching later this year. That being said, keep in mind that Google frequently buys many domain names that are not products to ensure confused visitors still get to Google products. A spokeswoman at YouTube declined to comment on the domain name purchases. Android Central covers Google's new offline section recently added to the Google Play Store. This new section is intended for games which can be played without a data connection. The new category does include some titles such as Minecraft Pocket Edition that is, which include online multiplayer elements, but the titles can all be enjoyed without Wi-Fi or cellular data. Personally, this could easily be called the stuck on a plane section. I know I'll be skimming through this section when traveling, so I have something fun to play with without having to pay for the in-flight Wi-Fi prices. So, with that being said, those are the headlines. So, Eric, any of those stand out to you this week?
Well, they're all very interesting, actually. I did try the Steam music player a little bit. I messed around with it when I saw it appear in my Steam menu. The Steam skin I had did not support it, so of course I had to go back to the old school one. And if any listeners out there have never tried an alternative Steam skin, some of them are very nice. I use Pixel Vision, which has been around for a while. And I, played some music through it. It took a long time to cull through my music database, though.
But you have several gigs of music, right?
Yes.
And what format was it playing? Because that was my curiosity: is if it was just an MP3 player, or if it could actually play other formats like OGG or FLAC.
It's actually a good question. I didn't really notice. Most of my music is MP3, but they all kind of live in the same place, and the players I have on my desktop don't care, so I didn't notice.
Well, not noticing says something. I mean, That means at least there's a chance that it was playing those alternate formats.
maybe.
How was the audio quality?
It sounded normal. I have equalizer settings and all that on my normal music player that are very specific. So when I hear my music played through other applications, it always sounds a little bit different.
But it didn't stand out as sounding bad or tinny or anything.
No, it would be pretty hard to sound bad with the headphones that I have.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely depends on the equipment you're listening on. One of the big stories that to me that stood out was the news from VentureBeat about Google again possibly purchasing Twitch.tv. Are you much of a Twitch.tv user at all?
A little bit, but not really. I prefer to watch. I'm not that big on live streaming. I prefer to watch, um, you know, recorded streams at my leisure.
The more like things on YouTube, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, I've watched some things on Twitch and I've streamed a little bit just to test it out and play with it. But I'm with you. Personally, I'm not a big live stream watcher. I don't care. I didn't watch any of the recent Dota. Was it Dota or the other one? Anyway, any of the recent big Dota or big competitor content that was big on Twitch recently. Didn't even have any interest whatsoever. But occasionally I do like watching friends play. That's usually the only time I may get onto Twitch.tv is if a friend of mine is streaming live, and that's my excuse for firing it up.
Yeah, I am not into esports like I was in my younger years, so I'm kind of the same way.
Right? If you're going to be into esports, it's because you're playing them, not because you care about watching someone else play.
Yeah, nowadays I'm like a video game grandpa, just playing single player games at my leisure.
So with that being said, and neither one of us being big Twitch.tv users, do you think this news matters? I mean, assuming, of course, that it's true and Google has actually closed on the sale of Twitch.tv, do you think it's going to make any difference? Do you think it's going to have much of an impact on anything?
Well, if uh, if this story turns out to be true, then it's absolutely huge. Although I don't use Twitch that much, I do know of the impact it has had and how important it's been recently. I also think I read about some of their um, plans for monetization, but uh, those won't be a problem if Google buys them, that's for sure. And not everything Google's done with YouTube has been what I would have chosen if I was in a position like them, but YouTube is a staple for me at least, and so if they're able to keep the spirit of Twitch TV like they kept the spirit of YouTube, then I'm sure it'll turn out for the best.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part is making sure to give Twitch.tv the help of Google's virtually infinite resources, but not changing Twitch.tv because clearly it's currently a successful formula that works.
Hmm.
So the other big story to me was about unlocking cell phones becoming legal, especially as someone who is on Ting, a smaller MVNO carrier. It's really important to me to be able to take my phone from one carrier to another should I need to switch in the event I was in an area that maybe my primary carrier doesn't offer coverage or have very good coverage.
Yeah,
Worry about any of that?
I think it's an important. I think it's important that we legally empower um, cell phone ownership and give people the tools they need, and make sure that it's uh, accessible. Because the problem with cell phones, unlocking cell phones traditionally, has been, of course, that it's shady. You gotta take it somewhere where they're gonna hack the device, or where they have the capability of getting the manufacturer's unlock codes or whatever. I know I went overseas a few years ago with a cell phone that was SIM locked, and I dropped it off at a corner market where they had just cell phones laid out over the desks, and they had an oscilloscope and tools in the back you could see, and $5 in 20 minutes, and I came back and I had it unlocked. Uh,
That's mind blowing. That it was just that's how easy it was.
yeah, and really that's how easy it is for phones as it is. But the problem with the DMCA and other legal restrictions, it kind of makes it also a little bit shady. Hopefully, we will just we will eventually get to a point where cell phones don't come locked whatsoever, because the idea that I buy a device, and whether I buy it outright or whether I buy it quote unquote subsidized, um, it's still I still have to I'm still paying for it one way or the other, so I should just get it, and I should be able to take it with me if I want. It's like, how would you feel if you bought a car and only drove on Verizon roads?
Well, and there's a good point. I mean, it's kind of a jump, but technically we could go that direction with the self-driving car concept coming to fruition.
Hmm.
But no, I think you're right. I think we're moving in, at least in phones, I think we're moving to a more unlocked system. I know when I bought my new Nexus 5 about 6 months ago, I was pleasantly surprised that when I purchased it direct through the Google Play Store, I didn't have to worry about it being locked to any carrier. I've used the phone on T-Mobile. I've used the phone on uh, AT&T. I've used the phone now on Ting, and all it took was changing the SIM card and restarting the phone. There was no unlocking necessary.
I try not to be too much of a fanboy, but the Nexus 5, which I also have, is such an excellent device. People who aren't buying Nexus 5s but are still buying Android phones, you should just buy Nexus 5. It's just that good.
No, and I have to agree with you. I've actually been, I'm willing to be a fanboy for the Nexus 5. And I've been trying to convince people to buy it even now, even though it's a phone that's a little over a year old. And come later this year, traditionally Google would be replacing it. Some of the leaked news stories I've seen so far, I still think the Nexus 5 is a great contender, and especially if Google releases a new phone and drops the price of the Nexus 5,
Which is
it's
already
going
low.
to sell so fast.
The Nexus 5 is already an inexpensive phone in comparison to the other flagship models that came out when it did.
That's true, especially for the features it offers and the
Hundreds of dollars
hardware.
less. And no bloatware.
Yes, that I think honestly that is worth more money than you can really put a price tag on.
I bought mine from T-Mobile. I went into a store. I bought the phone in the store, and it's still, there was still no bloatware, no branding, no mumbo jumbo. It really was the real deal. And yeah, if you
Oh,
don't have an if you don't have an Nexus 5 and you want to buy one, you just should.
yeah, I didn't realize that buying it direct from a carrier, they wouldn't have gotten their hands on it. I thought I was under the impression the only way to get a clean Nexus 5 was through the Google Play Store, but that's not true, huh?
At least not in T-Mobile's case, because they just brought a box from the back of the store and were like, here you go. It was just a Nexus 5, nothing special.
And did you
Well,
buy
very
yours
special.
in contract, or did you just buy it outright?
Uh, they're not offering subsidized phones via contract like that anymore, T-Mobile.
Oh,
They,
that's right.
yeah, they offer a payment plan. So you'll pay for it a certain little bit every month. So for me, I have 0% interest, so I'm just simply paying for the phone, no interest, which is like $16 a month or something.
Okay. And then, of course, your contract, just regular service payment for whatever service you're getting.
It's no contract. So
Oh, you just month to month.
right, I can leave anytime I want. I have to either return the phone or pay the rest.
Sure. Okay. So it's kind of like you're buying a car. You're just paying it off over time.
Rent to own with 0% interest. Can't do better than that.
No, that's a great way to buy the device. I wish Google would offer something like that for direct sale. It would have been nice to not drop several $100s in one chunk, but hey, I can't say I regret it.
Yeah, you can't. It's such a great phone. I'm gushing.
Awesome. Well, moving on, I guess the third story for me that piqued my interest was about the Amazon employee flying a drone around. Well, I just got a big laugh out of checking out that story.
Yeah, it's like I can understand people being upset about getting a drone flown around them when they're, hanging out in downtown Seattle. But at the same time, I can also understand someone saying, "I want to fly my drone, yay!" And so it's like it's kind of hard. You can put yourself in both situations and understand why they might feel the way they feel. Although I'm a little bit interested with the police. I wonder what law he was breaking.
Yeah, and that's arguably what I've been reading is that perhaps why he got off with just a warning because officially I'm not sure he was breaking any laws. The stories I read, I didn't include it in the headline, but the stories I've read all say he stuck to flying anywhere from 400 to 450 feet above ground. So he at no point was threatening any individuals on the street at surface level. He was still low enough to not be in a potential flight path. All he was doing was scaring people who don't understand that a drone can be controlled by someone with a lot of talent and experience and understanding and be done professionally and safely.
Well, even if it's not safe, I mean, the drones aren't that heavy.
Well, some of them are pretty big, though. I mean, the one he was flying was on the larger side of the hobbyist drones, and I mean, I certainly wouldn't want it to run into me.
That's true, but at the same time, it's also not, like a nitro-powered copter or something.
That's true, but there have been incidences of people losing fingers and things from quad and tricopter accidents.
Yeah, it's very scary, almost as scary as getting hit by a car walking across the street, which happens all the time.
So what you're saying is our lives are constantly in danger, and someone flying a little toy around and recording some video doesn't make it more or less dangerous.
That's what I'm getting at exactly.
No, I'm inclined to agree. I think it's all blown out of proportion. I think people don't understand, and the media has jumped on drones as a great way to keep people scared. And so there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about drones out there.
Well, drones either do one thing. They either save soldiers' lives by killing, quote-unquote insurgents on the other side of the world, or they're a danger to our safety, security, and liberty because they have a camera on them, possibly.
Right, right. I mean, the 12-year-old could be flying a drone to watch his neighbor sunbathe by her pool, right?
Hey, when I was a kid, we just stuck our head out the window. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty open with my privacy, so that whole argument doesn't really fly with me. I'm not worried about privacy concerns. I feel like it's not everyone else's job to ensure my privacy. It's on me, if I care about my privacy, to make sure that I maintain my own privacy. I think that's my responsibility.
That's an interesting way of saying it. I would say that as long as they don't fly into my house, I'm fine. Once they do, then it is impacting my privacy. But until then, when I'm outdoors, don't really have any.
Right.
Public
Exactly.
space, public sphere, that whole deal. If you're out enjoying a night in the town and someone flies a drone over your head, well, you didn't have any privacy to begin with.
Exactly.
So,
No, I agree entirely. Even with windows, if somebody's spying in my window with a drone, I should probably close the curtains.
yes, or move your very sensitive operations to the basement.
Right. There's a reason that all the drug labs are in basements and buildings with closed windows.
Indeed. Only if they were smart enough to have drones flying around scouting for them.
Right, right. But I'm actually excited. I'm glad that the price of drones are dropping. They're getting into more people's hands. I've been really tempted to start piecing together kind of a DIY kit for a tri or a quadcopter.
Just buy a Parrot AR, dude. They're cheap.
They are, but there'd be something kind of fun about putting my own rig together from parts.
Well, buying a kit and then buying a pre-assembled kit, not that different.
Yeah,
But
if I was going to buy a pre-built, I would probably shell out for a DJI Phantom.
well, I actually have no idea what that is.
It's one of the larger drones. It's a quadcopter and with a really powerful radio, and its big selling point is that it has a base, so it can actually land level, and it actually is designed for some light load carrying capacity beyond just the camera. So there's been demos shown of people carrying Wi-Fi pineapples, for example, up onto rooftops. So you could bring a Wi-Fi pineapple, which is basically just a Wi-Fi sniffing device. Take your drone, fly it over onto a rooftop where you know there's going to be a lot of Wi-Fi traffic inside the building, and have it just record all of that data, capture it, and then bring it back home using its this return home feature. So there's a lot of interesting uses with drones that way.
Indeed. Something, something, something. Wi-Fi privacy. Um, yeah, I'm excited. All that kind of stuff is really neat. And with the software that these drones are coming with, where basically any amateur can fly them, it's really cool. Because I'm an amateur.
Weren't you working on a project to build a helicopter or plane or something that flew and controlled by cell phone?
Yeah, I'm in the design stage. I have some stuff finished on that, but long-term project. I think it's going to be very exciting. That's nitro powered, so
Oh, you're gonna run it with a gas engine then?
correct. Nitromethane as opposed to electric.
Right, right. No, no battery. But you should, if you ever get, serious progress on that project, definitely take pictures and document it. It'd be awesome to be able to show your progress on that as you work through it.
I have a project bike and a truck and a whole lot of stuff ahead of the copter in line to get done. So
I see. I see. Well, that's fair.
well, I'm better at making plans than actually following through. So it just kind of turns out that way.
I think that's true for most of us, to be honest. But
Yeah, well, it's always more fun, easier, and significantly cheaper to think of things you want to do instead of actually doing them.
right, the only part worse than thinking of projects is thinking of projects, buying like a quarter or half of all the parts you need for a dozen different projects, and then
Uh,
still not finishing it.
I have never done that in my life. What are you talking about?
Right, right. So, but that being said, I guess it's time to wrap things up here for today. Were there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers, or anything you got going on?
I am working through a new exercise routine, which is neat. I'm also doing research on uh, nitrate levels and how they affect blood pressure. I have hypertension, so I'm doing that on myself.
So less
Uh,
is what that comes down to, right?
yeah, well, you know. I saw the Lego movie today. Hilarious.
I actually got a chance to see that just like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. I was surprised at how good a movie it was.
Yes, I was like, Lego movie sounds like lame, but everyone's like, oh no, it's so good, and like the Rotten Tomatoes score is like really good and stuff, and I was like, well, I guess I'll give it a try. it got here yesterday or the day before from Netflix, and I put the DVD in, and I was very pleasantly surprised. It was exciting and entertaining.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I guess I'll sign us out here. Please check us out at techtwiceweekly.com. We'll have this episode there shortly with our show notes. And you can also check out last week's episodes, our very first episodes of the show. I hope you see things are getting better here, smoothing out the kinks, and just one day after the other, or I guess one episode after the other, as the case may be. But if you have any shows or stories you'd like to recommend or think we should cover, please send those to feedback at techtwiceweekly.com. We'll check those out and definitely make sure they get in the rundown. Have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you next Wednesday. All right, there we go.
Unlive us.
Yeah, let's go ahead and say goodbye. Yay, goodbye, YouTube.